Hello everyone, TOavn here again, and today I'm going to be walking you through the Sweet Time remake. So let's talk about the drum pattern first, because it's quite interesting. It's not your typical, but it's that like sustained low end makes it feels like the drums are breathing. I don't know, it just kind of feels like that to me. But yeah, let's talk about it. So the main MIDI, there's a lot of things going on here. So as you can see, I'm layering a bunch, like this kick to this one, and this guy is kind of special, and I'm gonna talk about it later. But yeah, lots and lots of layering. And like this small sample right here, it's a cymatic shockwave. Yeah, it's a cymatic sample basically. And I don't really know what I'm supposed to explain here. I was just trying to imitate like the basic drum pattern that Porter did. But yeah, this like small kick is like the small kick you hear on the original track. So that first oomphy kick, I processed it like this. I pitch shifted it down, 4 semitones down, and a tiny reverb, and a mid-side EQ. The side, I basically like cut the side, like the lows of the side information a little bit. But as you can see, there's still a little bit left there. And the mid is kind of basic, getting rid of the boxy frequency and kind of like boost the bass a little bit, like the bass area. And this is just a tiny high frequency layer, EQ to get rid of most of the lows, a frequency shifter. In fact, I should be doing this. Yeah, much better. So a frequency shifter to frequency shift it down, and a tiny reverb. And the third layer is like a tiny crunchy high-end layer, and it's just being EQ'd like this to get rid of the lows and the super high frequencies. And this is like a distorted mid layer. As you can see, I got rid of most highs and lows and kept the mids, basically. And this kick right here, you know, like this part. So on the original track, like this part right here has it has a clap, but it's not your typical kind of clap. It's more like a it has like a weird low end attack to it. It's not your basic clap just like that. It has a low end punch oomph kind of attack to it. So I was like, what could that be, right? Like the first thing I thought of is that has to be a kick. So I tried a kick, like a basic kick, and it didn't work. Like a very clean subby kick, and it didn't work. And I listened to the original track and I muted the mid. So I basically did this. And that's exactly how the original song sounded like. Like it had a stereo kick. So I was like, what is that? That's like something I never do. But like apparently Porter does it. So hey. So I basically took a kick, like I took this kick, which is a monster kick, which is like a FL stock kick, as you can see right here. So I made it a little shorter, and since it had already a stereo information, I mid-side EQ'd it like this. So I got rid of the lows on the mids. And on the side, I basically saturated the hell out of it and then EQ'd it to boost the lows so that it's very obvious, and I compressed it. So this is how the sides sound like. And this is the mid. And after doing that, I played it with the clap, and it had the exact same texture and attack as the original track. So that worked, I guess. So yeah, this sustained like bass here that makes the whole drum pattern like it's breathing. It's basically a kick. It's a kick. It's a kick that I pitched down. Like, this is the original, like, this is how it sounds like by default. It's a cymatic kick. I pitched it down, slowed it down, and slowed it down even more. So I know I could have just used a synth, like a sine wave, but that would be too synthy, you know what I mean? So I used a kick instead, a pitched down kick, because it has a lot of texture when it's pitched down and slowed down as well. It still retains that kick texture that it originally have. It's very subtle, but yeah. So I processed it like this. Reverb, slight reverb, mid-side EQ again to boost the sides. I don't know what is Porter's obsession with stereo low ends, but it does it in an interesting way, which is always appreciated. And I distorted it in a very unusual way, because without it and with it, I don't know, it sounds kind of cool. And an EQ to get rid of the extreme low end, a limiter, which is not even doing anything, and a sidechain. This is the sidechaining. This is how I do my sidechaining. And another EQ to get rid of the low ends again. And this shaker is basically a Leviathan shaker that I rearranged, because this is not how this shaker originally is. I kind of chopped them and rearranged them so that it fits the track, because as you can see, it's been consolidated. I don't know, like, these crashes are the basic FL stock crash. Very horrible. And this one is a layer, which is also an FL Studio stock crash, which is also very horrible. But of course, I processed them so that it doesn't sound horrible. But this has a frequency shifter, and I'm gonna use this one instead. So I used the frequency shifter and an EQ to boost the highs and get rid of the harsh high mids, and a reverb. The other one, just an EQ and a reverb. The clap is basically a layer of this clap, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, that has a disperser for some reason. So the first clap is just being compressed slightly, and a mid-side EQ. I basically added reverb on the side. As you can see here, I chose side instead of mid, and I processed it again. The mid, I EQ'd it like this. The other one is more bright, because like the other one is more Midi. This is layering a brighter clap, and the Midi clap, a mid-E clap, not Midi, mid-E. And same for this one, I added reverb on the side, and yeah, same EQ pretty much. And that one is a small sound with a disperser on it, which is, this is a patcher preset, by the way. You can find it right here. So I dispersed it, and then wave shaper, and then an EQ to get rid of the lows and the highs. Together, pretty interesting sound. And these guys, these small transition sounds. So this first sound is an FL Studio stock sound again. It's from the drums and then SFX. It's right here. That was kind of pain. I am sorry for that. This one is also an FL Studio stock sound. And this one is also an FL Studio stock sound. I'm sorry for that. And yeah, this is like this. I tried to rearrange them like Porter did on the original track. Of course, he didn't use these samples, I'm pretty sure. He probably used another sample, but I tried my best to rearrange them in such a way that it sounds like the original track. And oh, there's another one here. So this is, yeah, this is also, yeah, FL stock sound. And yeah, how I process them is basically like this one has an EQ and a delay, a really short delay. This one is being reversed and pitched up and sped up a little bit. Is it sped up? I'm gonna check. Oh, it's being slowed down. Okay, so it's slowed down and pitched up 1 octave and pitched down 4 semitones and using the transient mode, stretching mode. And it's being processed by just an EQ. This one is that sample and it's being pitched down 1 octave using the E2 mono algorithm, and it's being processed by this stereo enhancer. I don't really know what I did here. I just like slapped it on. Oh, it's this preset, never mind. And an EQ. And this sample is the sample, that one. It's being slowed down a little bit and it's being EQ'd like this, chorused and OTT'd, limited. Yeah, and it's been EQ'd. This is basically when the respace plays. This is basically a high pass automation for this low end kick, this slowed down kick. As you can see here, as you can hear, like right here, here is the intro when the respace is not playing, and here when it's playing, it's being high passed a little bit to leave some room for the respace. Oh,
hello there.
Just a friendly reminder that if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and also like the video while you're at it because it helps me a lot. And also this graph is it's paid. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention. Alright, so let's talk about the synths. This sub bass is just your typical sub bass, respace, you know, like a lot of voices on a saw wave. This is not even a saw wave, this is almost a saw wave. I basically got rid of all the high harmonics so that it looks like kind of a mixture between a saw wave and a sine wave, but it still has its saw wave bite. 7 voices of unison, a lot of detune and pound a lot, a little bit of phase action. And in here, I basically went to the harmonic unison pitch and I basically got rid of the detune on the low harmonics so that the lows, like the sub low, is solid. It doesn't like go places. And then after that, it's being distorted with a soft saturation and it's being compressed. Oh yeah, also a little bit of low pass. And then it's going through this distortion, which is a free plugin by Klanghelm. I basically saturated it a little bit. And this is, I believe, yeah, this is, I distorted the mids. I don't understand why I did that. And I made it so that it's super stereo. Oh, so this is like a side layer. This is like a stereo layer. And this is like the dry signal. Very solid and saturated. Very kind of saturated and very wide. Both together. Boom. And on the mixer, it has the demudder. I have a video about demudding stuff if you're interested. I'll link it up here. And an EQ. Like tame this frequency a little bit. Limiter. which is not even doing anything. Low-high sidechain. This is basically like a multi-band sidechaining. I'm only sidechaining the low so that it's more transparent. And then the mid-side EQ. Again with the compressed side. Oh, it's not actually compressed. I'm compressing the mids on the side. It's super tiny, like super slight, but it's there. And the mids are just being the way they are. As you can see, like most of the lows in this track is not super dead mono. It has some side signal. That's why I'm not really being really harsh on the side slows on most bass stuff, like the cake and anything really. And this, it's a pad that I made in Harmonic. So this pad sounds like this on its own. So this is a saw wave, and it's being unisoned. It's being prismed a little bit. It's harmonized as well. As you can see, it is engaged. Yeah, there is a phaser as well, and a low pass. So anything interesting I did here. So I went to the unison pitch thickness, which is basically this fader right here. You right click on it and then edit articulator. And this is like a random mapping. This graph basically means that every single time I press a note, this value is going to be randomized from 100, yes, 100 to 0. So it's basically 100 to 0. But in this case, this is 100 because I set it so that it's the maximum value. But this is basically 100. It's not here. It's here. And this is still 0. And I went to harmonic unison pitch and I did some stuff. I don't know. I just drew this because why not? You always like do weird stuff so that it sounds interesting. Like it sounds interesting without you planning on making it sound interesting. You just do random stuff and then it sounds interesting. That's why I can't really explain those decisions I just made. But this global EQ is basically like a final EQ. It's like Harmor, it's like an EQ built-in Harmor. It's like a post EQ. And local EQ is basically a pre-EQ, but it's not really an EQ since it literally affects the waveform. Yeah, that's the difference between them. And this also, like, if you make a change here, it will basically key track. And like when you're playing higher notes, it will follow that change. And global EQ, it will not follow anything. It's, again, it's a basic EQ. It's like this EQ right here. It does not key track unless if you like peak control it and then like key track it, which works here, but it does not work here. You have to like do it in local EQ to do that. But yeah, so phaser and nothing else. Yes, we have a B section here, which is a saw wave. It's just a saw wave. Yeah, it's just a saw wave, 1 octave up. And on the effect, it's being distorted with the rebond mode. It's been chorused and it's been delayed, it's been reverbed and it's been compressed. And as you can see here, I decreased the post gain quite a lot because it's meant to be a pad. So it's going through 2 choruses. And this is like a funny routing. So basically I routed this, like the pad, into 1 chorus, and then this chorus is going through another chorus, but I rerouted the original signal into the other chorus. So I don't know, I don't really know why I did that, but as you can see, I reduced the volume of the signal going into the second chorus. It's going to a maximus, but this is basically like the dry signal, and this is like a super messed up chorus signal, if I understand correctly. And both of them are going into an OTT, and it's being slightly mixed in, and it's going into another maximus, and this one is a D moder maximus. As you can see, I'm compressing these frequencies, and it's going into an EQ that gets rid of these frequencies even more. And on the mixer, it's being OTT'd again, slightly OTT'd, and EQ'd. And this sound is basically your basic FL Studio direct wave choir sound. It's here on packs and instruments, orchestral, choir. But yeah, it's being layered with this sound, which is noise. Yeah, it's noise, and it's very quiet. It's a very, very quiet. I'm pretty sure it's 1%. Because without it, see here? Like the tiniest thing in the world. Yeah, it's very subtle, but it's there. And in here, it's being processed quite a lot. This EQ gets rid of the frequency region, because yeah, it's kind of pain when you don't do that like before, like all these effects here. Without it, very bad. With it, nice and soft. So that EQ and then a demoder, which is not interacting with the threshold whatsoever, and then a reverb, slight reverb, and a slight chorus, and OTT again, not even mixed in, it's just full on there. A ring mod, but very slight, as you can see here again. It's probably 3%. And this compressor, which I'm not using, and this patcher, which basically is basically blending the dry signal with a phased signal, a wide phased signal, and again sidechaining a mid-side EQ. And this is an element that you do not want to hear. This is not an element that is in the middle. So that's why I basically decreased the mids, because this is a background element basically. So next sound is another pad made with Harmor, and as you can see here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's Harmor, but like I clicked here and then I got rid of all the high harmonics rather, and I made strange things here, strange points, and then I engaged harmonizer. I added a bunch of unison voices as well. It's very detuned, also very phased, and the volume, it has an ADSR, as you can see here. And then harmonizer mix also has harmonizer mix, and on the unison index mapping on that particular knob, this is basically telling us that these voices, like the first 1, 2, 3, 4 voices, don't have as much harmonizer on them, and then the middle voice, which is the 5th voice, has a lot of harmonizer, and then the voices after that basically don't have as much. It's also being phased quite a lot, as you can see here. Unison pitch thickness, again, it's this setting right here, and I went to the envelope and kind of make this shape so that it's like gradually going down and not constantly like up there. Harmonic unison pitch again. At this time I boosted the lows because I guess I wanted that rumble, because I think without it, yeah, it's very static. So basically this is how you get rumbly sounds in Harmor, basically increasing the detune on the low harmonics so it's more rumbly. Yeah, more movement. On the mixer, it has a mid-side EQ. On the mid, I kind of tamed this frequency a little bit. On the sides, I also tamed that same exact frequency a little bit, and I panned it to the right. Yeah, this one is the one that is panned to the left. And the piano is just your boy. It's stage grand. You can find it right here, stage grand. This is the same song, like I rendered this song, and then I used it again, and I sped it up. So this is how it sounds by default. It's exactly that sound, and I sped it up. And yeah, a little bit of mid-side EQing. And this sound, I found this sound on the TOavn made Discord server. So I was like, oh, camera flash sound. I didn't know. I took it and I used it. Oh yeah, and this sound is... it's a very soft sound. I really like making these kind of like really soft plucky sounds. It's a saw wave that has a volume envelope, a plucky ADSR, and also has a plucky shape on the filter cutoff right here, and it's a low pass. Also, I engaged a little bit of pluck, as you can see here. And also, yeah, I also did some envelope shenanigans on this pitch fader right here. It's going down, so more movement. And yeah, that's about that. And it's being reverbed and delayed and compressed. And I pushed the input gain a little bit, the pre-gain. And EQ to get rid of the lows. It's a very soft...
Nice.
It's a very soft sound. Yeah, I EQ'd it here, like this. And this sound is again from the Cymatics sample pack, like the Utopia one. It's this one. It's that one. It's this vocal one. I basically pitched it up, as you can see here. Pitched it up and chopped it up as well. And I did some low pass activity here as well. So the way you did within the sampler is basically go here on this miscellaneous functions, yes. And this is basically a low pass. Like, yeah, that's a low pass. So you can just do it right here instead of going into the mixer and then adding an EQ and then doing it there, which can be pain, but it's the best thing to do if you want control. But if you're lazy, you can also do this. And I also automated the resonance a little bit. And this like weird sounding crash is again this song being rendered, and then I threw it inside a 3D granulizer. And literally, I don't know how to explain every single knob in here, but it's really fun to mess around with granulizers. And yeah, the attack is like making it so that it's very soft and not super... yeah, it's making it softer, basically. And the hold is, I don't know how to explain it, I'm very sorry. But yeah, it's being automated as such. Oh yeah, and the piano is being processed as well. Right here, it's being picked. I'm not really sure what this pick control is for, but we'll find out. A reverb. Yes, reverb. Mid-side EQ to kind of get rid of these frequencies on the sides and get rid of these frequencies on the mids. Patcher. This is a delay. And I'm not even using it, so I guess I can delete it. And Edison. Oh yeah, I think I used it in the outro. But yeah. Alright, there's also this really subtle ARP, which is a harmor. I think it's the piano preset again. Like this one of these ones. I don't really remember, but it's there. It's super quiet. It's being flangered, as you can see, and it's being EQ'd, and it's being recorded. I'm pretty sure I made a... yeah, this pad is being used somewhere. I don't really know where. Probably somewhere here. Oh, never mind. I can't find it. Oh yeah, that's that sound. And this one... It's like this part is really cool. Oh yeah, this is the piano sound, and I reversed it. Yeah, also like sped it up 7 semitones. I reversed it and I did some volume automation to it, as you can see here. So it really adds to the texture basically. And this is just a sine wave. Yeah, is it just a plucked sine wave in Citrus? Yeah, it's just a plucked sine wave, and it's being limited like crazy, and it's been reverbed, and it's been EQ'd. So this is basically I just put it there because I kind of heard a little bit of sine wave action on this very part on the original track. Of course, yeah, the velocity. I played a lot of the velocity and the bass freaking pattern. Interesting pattern. This entire time, this pad have been filtered by this EQ. By this patcher basically. And right here it opens up. As you can see, it's off here now. And this probably from the Full Moon Lullaby remake that I did. And I can't. What is this sample? I'm pretty sure I blurred some sounds in here, like in this project, and I used it here. And this is from the Full Moon Lullaby remake, just as a layer. And yeah. So this part is interesting. So this part is very like really mid heavy, and what I mean by that, I'm gonna solo the side, and this is exactly how it is on the original track. Like there's no side kick, side sub signal anymore. So this is like Porter wanted you to focus on that part. Like here it's more chill. You can he did like crazy things like stereo kicks. But here, focus. So here, I basically, yeah, this is the main kick that is audible, and this is slightly audible, but not as much as this main kick. And this one is also slightly audible, and this one is almost not audible. Yeah. I basically played with the velocity of each sample, and the scratches are playing all the time to give that like punchy energy. So yeah, this part is basically, I'm gonna disable the original sound real quick. And the reason why I included the original sample there is because, well, yeah, this is like the super quiet ARP. This is the super quiet ARP's pad, and I used a love filter to like make it rhythmic like this. Because without it, with it, yeah, I applied it on the volume. Yeah. And this is just one piano shot, and this is the same reversed piano with some volume automation. And this is the OG sample again, but I slowed it down quite a bit and used the stretching mode and brought it down 4 semitones and applied volume automation to it, as you can see, because without it, yeah, with it, oh yeah, by the way, this is being processed with an auto pitch, which is an auto tune limiter and 3D balance to pan it on the right, a reverb and an EQ. And this one is being processed. It's the vocoder technique. Okay, so this citrus sounds like this. It's just a subwave, nothing complex. And the vocal is, yeah, it's that. It's that. It just sounds like that, and I basically played them together, like the citrus and the vocal at the same time, routed them into one mixer insert, and then added a vocoder, vocodex to be specific, on that one mixer insert, and the modulator being the vocal, and the carrier being the citrus. And yeah, I don't really know if I want to explain this. It would take me forever to explain it, but yeah, it's just like that. It's that technique, like a carrier modulator technique using a vocoder. And then in auto pitch again, it's being slightly mixed in to give like that really chorusy effect, because if it was full on there, I mean, you can't really hear the difference, but it's there. An EQ, let's just say it's an OTT, and a reverb. Everything playing together. And with the vocal, yeah, I tried my best to kind of like replicate everything that is happening in here in the outro without the vocals. But yeah, that's basically everything about the track. Mastering, it's not that much. It's just a mid side EQ and a Maximus. Notice how I'm using linear phase on Maximus, because I don't want to mess with the phase of the entire track. So yes, I really love this new update of FL Studio. Linear phase for the win, let's go. Yeah, it's just a boosted low end and boosted mids and slightly boosted highs and boosted master. Yeah, and I have a pre-master, of course. And this is just cutting everything below 30 hertz and everything above 18k hertz. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much everything about this track. It's not the most complex compared to the other tracks, but it's really well built. It has a lot of unique and really interesting texture to it. For me personally, this is like, this is good. This track is super good, and it's also super chill. And yeah, I hope that made sense at all. I really appreciate you guys for watching this video. And the FLP is going to be available in the description, so feel free to download it. And yeah, see you later. Subscribe and like. Bye bye.